Hey YouTubers and gamers, and he's back, and it's another pickup video. First things first, just to give a bit of an update with people. It's been quite a challenging month of sorts. My wife's doing well, by the way. She had her operation, her mastectomy, and she's off for the next few months recovering from that. And so she's doing well, so that's good news. Sadly, her dad passed away a few days after the operation, and it was expected. He had been in hospital for about 8 weeks, and was on end of life for 8 days. So bless him, he didn't give up easily. He was 88. So that's where we're at. My wife and I and my daughter were taking 1 week at a time, so we'll get there. We're doing okay. It's not easy, but such is life. But anyway, that's the personal bits out of the way. Not to say that's not important or anything, but you're here to obviously see the pickups and stuff. And as always, to start off with the vinyl of the month. I'm quite a fan of the artist Birdie, who's she's the grandchild or something like that, of Dirk Bogarde. She's related to Dirk Bogarde anyway, the actor. But anyway, she's a big pop star in her own right, and she did a really good song a few years ago called "Find Me" with Sigma, and Billy Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, she did a video for that, before she got super big. So so that's quite a cool video. But I've always been a big fan of that song, and I've been trying to get it on vinyl or any physical media really for a long time. And you can get it on compilation CDs from Now CDs and stuff, but to get it part of a proper album with Birdie, there wasn't one. But Sigma finally did an album, and it's one of the tracks on here. So this is Sigma Hope, and it's got Find Me featuring Birdie, but they've got quite a few other songs on there featuring other artists, which I've got to check out. So I've been so busy with everything going on in life, I've not had a chance to listen to that yet, but will do. Non-gaming goodies. I think Retro Ed had this book, and he gave it to was it Gibbs or somebody he gave it to? He gave it to another tuber, and I thought, oh, I wouldn't mind that. So I looked on eBay and managed to pick this up for about $5.50 with shipping. It's in decent condition. It's a Marvel Raiders of the Lost Ark, I don't know, novelisation in annual form from the early 80s. So that was quite cheap. I'm pleased to have that. Of course, it's Marvel, and they used to do a lot of film adaptations in the time. They did all the Star Wars films, didn't they, and other bits. Okay, I've got a few Blu-ray, so interesting retro-inspired ones. I've got this all cheap from CEX actually. First of all, we've got the classic The Burbs with Tom Hanks. This is a really good comedy movie with a few, it's horror themed I suppose, with these sort of Tom Hanks and a few other neighbours think that their other new strange neighbours are some kind of murdering serial killers, and they go into various misadventures to try to prove that they are, and it sort of, at some point they thought they were wrong, but at the very end it turns out they were right in the end. So paranoia succeeds in America. Anyway, it's an Arrow edition, which has got tons of special features, and it's got this really cool alternative art cover, which Arrow DVDs tend to like to do. So that's sweet. Also by Arrow, they had this classic zombie game movie, which I never had actually. I've never actually seen it all the way through either, and it's one of the Italian horrors, Zombie Flesh Eaters. This is definitely one I won't be letting my 15-year-old daughter watch. I don't think that's be her cup of tea in the slightest, really. So yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. I wouldn't watch Zombie Apocalypse, that's just too twisted for me. But that one, Zombie Flesh Eaters, hopefully it won't be too bad. A more child-friendly one, I say, of sorts. It's only 12 certificate, this is. A classic horror movie from the early 1970s. I think this was 72 or something like that. It's The House That Dripped Blood, classic Hammer horror, with Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, and John Pertwee. He actually filmed this in between filming the seasons for Doctor Who, so that's really cool to have, really, because I'm a big Doctor Who fan as well. And yeah, it looks, you think it's like a comedy type horror type thing, but I think I'm really looking forward to this. And he's, in a way, he's kind of dressed as a flamboyant actor, which is quite similar to a Doctor in a way, really. So yeah, cool. There wasn't too much of that, wasn't. That's about £10 or £12 that one. And this one I got cheap as well. Classic fantasy adventure film from the 80s. British one, Hawk the Slayer. Got lots of British actors in it, as well as Jack Palance as well, and John Terry and a few other people. It's got really weird, bizarre soundtrack, this movie has. Some really strange sound effects. It's got this elf that sort of, it's almost fires super fast, and it's really strange in some ways, and cheesy, this movie is. So it's yeah, but it is something classic from the 80s. Not the best of movies out there, but a bit of history, a bit of nostalgia. Alright, just turn more focus closely more on games now. I've got a couple of accessories. One is for my Core Graphics PC Engine. I don't think I've showed this in a previous pickup. I've got the joystick. Quite cool. It's got turbo buttons and everything on it. It's made by ASCII, quite heavy, quite sturdy, so it's good to have a really decent joystick for a PC Engine. And I will be able to use that with my. I actually bought original Core Graphics, a few months back, and I've got a cheap PC Engine multi-card type thing as well, so I can play all the HuCard PC Engine games. There's quite a Monty HuCard which you can actually add PC with CD games on, which I was tempted to get. And I may still get something like that if there's like a cheaper alternative that come out in a few years, which I might do, you never know. But in the interim, there's also obviously Analog will bring out the Duo, and I've pre-ordered that. And so I'll probably focus on using that for once it's been hacked type thing, to play the copies of the CD-ROM games, because I don't want to get into collecting PC Engine CD games, because most of the good ones are really, really expensive. I mean, there's a few good cheap ones at under £50 mark, but with all the better ones, they tend to be quite a few hundreds, especially as shooters. But anyway, there's that. And for that Analog Duo, I also pre-ordered from AliExpress. Actually, it wasn't too bad. It was about £23 with shipping, and that's for sort of the American style TurboGrafx type style Bluetooth controller. Is it Bluetooth or Wi-Fi? 2.4G, sorry, not Bluetooth. Anyway, this will be compatible with the Analog Duo when it comes out, and it will match it, because I've ordered the black version of that. It'll probably take about a year before it gets released, but hey ho. Right, games. I'm going to start with the more modern and go backwards in time. So I've got this in B&M stores. Now, I don't normally pick up digital games unless they're really cheap and just for a Switch. So I like to get a physical version of this if there's one available. This particular game was out on a Wii, and I do have a copy on a Wii physically, but that they've done a physical box with a download code with the actual ray gun for a Switch, and it's quite a retro ray gun. So this was 20 quid in B&M stores, which is actually cheaper than Amazon. So I think it's an okay shooter type game. It is. It's nothing too special, but it's cheap and cheerful. And I thought that's something that I might regret not picking up cheap, because I guess places like CX or anything else, they'll probably won't resell this because it's like there's no game there. It's just a gun. So to get a box and everything else might be more difficult in the future because kids will probably chuck out most of the packaging. So I don't know. Okay, on the PS5, I've got a few PS5 games. As a rule of thumb, I tend to only get PS5 exclusives or games that are also on the PS4. If it's on PS4 and PS5, I tend to, unless it's a favourite IP, which I might double dip on, I tend to go for PS4 because it's compatible on both machines, if that makes sense. And people say, oh well, the graphics are better on the PS5. Well, they might be to a marginal degree, but some PS4 games, there's a PS5 free version available as well, isn't there, really? But I don't know, I think it's more options really with the PS4 games, because you can play them on both machines, whereas PS5, you're stuck to PS5, aren't you? So what have I got? For PS5, Formula 1 2021, this is quite cheap, I think it's about a tenner. I am collecting all the Formula 1 games on the PlayStation systems. A sort of spooky horror exclusive to PS5. The Medium, again this wasn't too expensive, I think it's about £15 mark. I tend to not to wait too long for horror games to come down in price, because sometimes if they're not released in big numbers like that one, they can get expensive. This was about quite cheap. I think I got this for about £8 from Smiths, I think, or something like that. Or was it Smiths? No, CX actually. So about £8 for CX. Goat Simulator 3. I thought it was a nice silly one. That is actually a second game. God knows why they call it number 3. It's just bizarre. Like they skipped out number 2 in the title. They just did. So there's no Goat Simulator 2. There is a first one which is on the 360, I think. But yeah, this game was reduced massively in Smiths to £8. They sold out all the PS4 copies, so I just had to get the PS5 up for £8. I'm not going to be too fussy on that one. So it's Star Trek Prodigy Supernova. I think it's got the voice of Captain Luke Picard, and also Captain Greenaway, which I'm not a fan of. I never loved Voyager. I didn't like it much. I just couldn't stand that woman. Yeah, but it's a Star Trek game. As people watched the Picard TV series, I really enjoyed the first two. I thought they were good. They were different. The third one became too much like normal Next Generation, whereby it starts off good and then they just get silly in terms of overcoming common sense, in terms of the bad guys being stupid and not falling for their plans and coming up with some nifty excuses for them getting out of really difficult situations, and it just got a bit silly. I thought Picard season 3 towards this, at the end of it, I just thought, I'm not convinced that the Borg would have been so weak at the end of season 3. And how it ties in with what happened to alternative Borg in the end of season 2, I didn't quite understand that either. Yeah, so I wasn't too mad on Picard in the end. So it just ended up being too much of a tribute to Next Generation towards the end. I thought it was going to be a whole new thing, which season 1 and 2 were. Then it just went back to being normal Next Generation stuff. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed with that. But hey ho, some people will like it. Anyway, let's not talk about sci-fi games. Right, PS4. Alright, I've got a few exclusive shooters from Red Arc Games. So we've got Space Elite Force 2 and 1. I've not had a chance to play it yet. I've been so busy, so I can't say much about that. It's more of a 8-bit type graphics shooting games. I guess that's 2 games in one by the looks of it, hence the title. I've got this horror game. I've not played it or anything. I have no idea if it's any good or not. Do Not Open. I think it was about £16 in Amazon, so I thought I'd get that right. It's reasonably priced, because that's not one you see much of. Again, for about the same money in Amazon, I've got this Star Ocean with Divine Force. This is the one that's got PS5 upgrade, so I've got that on the PS4. I've got all the Star Ocean games. Right, these next 2 games were about £5 each in CX. Now that's what I call Sing, and now it's what I call Sing 2. I do like the Sing games, even though I can't sing for toffee, but yeah, it'd be quite painful for other people. I like it. Guilty pleasure. I have got the special collector's edition, the steelbook copy, but I wanted the original because I played with Corey and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm picking up all the games that Supermassive Games are doing, all those sort of butterfly effect games. So my daughter actually played with Corey after I played it, and she got much. She did better than I did. Most people died when I did it. But anyway, Until Dawn. This was only about £6. I was supposed to have ordered there's one that's supposed to have a special edition on the front, but they've sent me a normal one, so I've still got to look out for a cheap copy of that. Even though I do have a steelbook edition of this one. But anyway, a Japanese exclusive QT type shooting game whereby you play as a little girl who flies, a bit like Forgotten Worlds type shooting type game. Never Awake, Japanese exclusive. Got that from PlayAsia. Was it Amazon Japan? No, it was Amazon Japan. I think that was about £22 or something like that. So it was quite a good price, really. I thought I'd pick these up cheap while I saw them. So, Final Fantasy 14 Online. I'll probably never ever get around to playing these. I don't know if you can still play them or not. That's the first game, the first version of it, rather, A Realm Reborn. Then there's one with it, DLC called Final Fantasy 14's Heaven's Ward. And then there's another one that has Heaven's Ward on plus Stormblood. So yeah, I think that's all the versions of them. I mean, there's one or two other combinations that have all these together and everything else, really, but I think that's like the nearest you get to standalone copies of those DLCs, if that makes sense. They were about £5 each, so I thought I'd just get those, because sometimes some of these, you know, some of these end up becoming quite hard to get hold of and collectible. I'm not saying that they definitely will, but I know on the Xbox 360 they did. Okay, a few more PS4. Got this for a good price, about £15 from Cash Converters. Dying Light 2, Stay Human. And a horror. This I got cheap in Smiths for about a tenner. Doctor Who, Edge of Reality and The Lonely Assassins. This was £6. Trials Rising, the second one on the PS4. Another Red Hot shooting game. Z-Warp. Like 8-bit graphics again type thing. It's quite cool actually. I got this steelbook in CX for £8. It's Days Gone Red steelbook. I thought, well, that's rather cool. And after I bought it, a few days later, I did a bit of research and I realised that this is part of a special edition set called The World's Comes For You. So I got this for about £15. And I couldn't be asked to take this one back, so I'll just keep it as it is. So yeah, that's part of that, but there's still quite a nice steel book, so I don't know. I may trade it in at some point in the future, who knows. Okay, that's PS5. Let's do Switch now. I think everyone's got this. Metro Prime Remastered. And then from Strictly Limited, another shooting game. Drainus. It looks really good. Took forever coming. This I got from, I think it was PlayAsia. Elamit Envelope Swamp Radagy Swag Velo Swamp. It's a combination of games, including Radagy and a few others, I believe. I think it's more than one game. Oh, yeah, I think it's probably at least 2 games on there. I think. Yeah, another. Is it Cave? Cave made these? I noticed that sort of put the hell type game. Maybe it says Mebius. It says, I don't know, but I think I got a version of this on an American Wii, so I think you can also get a version on the 360 too. I think. Okay. Horror game. I think it's horror. I can't remember if I think it's like a third-person type shooting game, a bit like Duke Nukem style, and it's Hellpoint. A lot of people rave about this. I got it while it's reasonably cheap. I think it's under 18 quid. This game I saw on CEX. I thought, I never heard of that. It's called Eurokill, and it's like half RPG and half shooter, half bullet hell. Yeah, so it's got a bit of a story, a bit of like point and clicks, you know, like a graphic novel type bit, and then some shooting elements in between as well. So it's quite interesting. It wasn't a lot of money. I think it was about maybe a £15 mark or something like that from CEX. Yeah, this is obviously on the Wii, I think. Mario Strikers Battle League Football. I got that for about 30 quid. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I had vouchers, so I got that from Argos, so that was free. Got this from Super Rare Games. It's SteamWorld Crest Hound of Gilga or Gilgamesh or Gilgamesh. It's part of the SteamWorld series, which is exclusive to a Switch that you can get from Super Rare Games. Another exclusive to Super Rare Games. The Last Day of June. This is supposed to be quite a nice sort of emotional story type game whereby you get to re-experience the same day, which is the last day of your beloved wife June, and I think you keep playing it until you get to a good ending type thing. I think it's all along those lines. So it's quite they still had it in stock. It was quite cheap. It was under £20. Marathon Gamer, I think, showed that in one of his videos, and I was intrigued. Okay, I got the Strictly Limited version of this, but I wanted to get the standalone release as well. Death Smiles 1 and 2, because I'm a big fan of Death Smiles and the cave shooters. Well, I got these cheap. I might as well pick them up. I've got these on the PS4, but I might as well get these cheap. Turtle Shredder's Revenge and the Cowabunga collection. I guarantee those games will be sought after when they're out of print. Alright, the first Bayonetta game got released on the Switch in the States in physical format. We didn't get it in Europe for whatever reason, but it's good to, we got it digitally but not physically, so I thought I'd get that. And while we was Bayonetta, there's this sort of prequel, Careza, Bayonetta's first name, isn't it? Or I don't know. Careza and the Lost Demon, if that's how you pronounce her first name. I probably butchered that name. Alright, this is an interesting flight type, shooting type game. It's called Hogyo and Friends. These sort of cartoony animal type characters who fly these little biplanes who go around shooting things. It looks good. I thought I'd pick it up while it's still available. Another shooting game on the Switch, the classic Akai Katana Shin. I think it means, is it Red Katana or something like that? Yeah, classic bullet hell. Got that on 360. Another super rare games uncommon one. This is Heaven's Dust Collection. This is inspired by Resident Evil 2. You play cartoony characters very similar to the enemies and principal characters in that game, so yeah, I had to have that. I've got all the Nintendo Labo software cartridges in these little cases. I've just been picking them out dirt cheap. The first three I got for about £2 each, but I was been after this last one, number 4, for a while. Ended up paying £6 for this on eBay. But okay, yeah, I haven't got the cardboard bits that you use with the cartridge, so I don't know how much you can actually do with the game itself. But it's just for a collection. Okay. New and sealed. I'm not opened this yet. New Pokemon Snap. Got that for about £3. These two games were about 20 mark, so a bit pervy, I suppose. Pretty Girls Game Collection 1 and Game Collection 2. I think there's a third one, I believe, coming out. It's like little mini games. These are the kind of games that you know will be collectible on the Switch at some point in the future. Okay, that's Switch out of the way. Let's turn now to PS2. Now, most of you will think, well, hang on, I thought you finished collecting for PS2. And I have, but there's these import games I saw on one Japanese, I can't remember his name, the name of the channel now. It's oh god, it's an American tuber that lives in the States. He teaches English as a foreign language out there, but I can't remember his name. Oh god, it's annoying me now. Oh, anyway, he was going game pickup hunting with an American friend, and the American friend picked up the first game of this. I thought, well, that looked interesting. I looked into it. It's based on an anime whereby it's set in Italy, and basically a sort of mafia type organisation of sorts has somehow be involved with kind of an agency that kidnaps young kids and turn them into robotic type cyborg assassins. So it's a bit like Halo in that respect of sorts, isn't it, in a way, but obviously not set in the future. So it's based on an anime, and there's three games based on that, which are you don't need to fully understand Japanese to play with games. It's just run and shoot type thing. And so it's Gunslinger Girl Volume 1, 2, and 3. And each of these come with a bonus DVD that has like an episode from the anime. Those DVDs do play on a normal Region 2 DVD player, but unfortunately there's no English subtitles on in the language options, so no way of really understanding it, I suppose. There's probably ways of working around it. You can actually buy the anime for, I don't know, about 30 quid anyway. I'm not sure if I will, but I thought these games were quite interesting, and I got all 3 of these from Japan for 50 quid in total for shipping, so I thought that wasn't bad, all 3 of those. So yeah, I thought they were quite interesting, and maybe those kind of games that may pick up in value at some point in the future. Who knows? Maybe not. Okay. Okay, still going back in time. Alright, Dreamcast. Again, I thought I finished collecting for Dreamcast, but there was one American game I wanted, and I picked up the one in the series on the Saturn, and that was D, and so I wanted D2. That didn't come out to Europe for whatever reason. It came out to the States and Japan. Now, a Japanese version you can get quite cheap. You can get that for about 30 to 50 quid. The problem is there's no English language on it, and you do ideally need an English language copy. And so I had to get the American copy. And this couldn't be in big numbers because it's quite expensive in America. I managed to get it from an English seller who had a copy, and I gave him an offer. It was he had it down for 150. I said, will you take 135? And he said, yeah. So 135, I got D2. Now, D1, D2, and the third game, EOS. Basically, there's 3 games by the same Japanese creator, and they all quite different games, but they all have a principal female character, blonde girl called Laura, even though the story is not connected in any way. And so, yeah, this is supposed to be better than D1, the first D, I think it is. So yeah, I'm quite really pleased to have that. So it's American Dreamcast. And when I was looking for that, I come across this game. It's a Japanese Dreamcast exclusive, and it's not supposed to be very good, but I got it sealed, guys. It's my first and only Dreamcast game I've got that's Japanese, that's sealed, for 15 quid from Chill Out Games. So that was cheaper than getting open copies. Because I think the next one was about £25, and that was open. So sealed, The Ring, which is based on a Japanese horror movie. There was an American remake of The Ring, but this has got that woman with, what's her name, Sayuka or whatever, who climbs out of a TV or whatever, and basically it's like, you know, it's like a cursed video. Anyone who watches this particular video will die within 48 hours or something like that. I can't remember now. So there's a game based on that. So for 15 quid, a sealed copy, I thought, yeah, I'm never going to play it because it's going to be too text-based probably. So that's for the collection. Okay. Right, there's a few Japanese Saturn games I was after. And there's this one which I got, again, sealed. And there's a really good price actually. It's done by the same people who've done the Thunder Force games. Unfortunately, it's not as good as those. It's Hyper Revrion, and basically you play these. Your character can take control of like an insect-based mech, and it's like an arena fighting type of fighting game. It's not supposed to be fantastic. It's not bad, but I got a sealed copy, and it was like a really good price. I think it was about £40 or something like that. Because it's this is not a fantastic game. It doesn't go for a lot of money. So to get a sealed copy for 40 quid, I thought again. Ooh. The only problem is because that one I mean, I can play there's other ways of playing that game. I've got my optical disc drive emulator on my other Saturn in the lounge, so I can always play that game that way. Okay, right. I don't really collect many football games, but I got this one because I didn't know about it. But Marathon Game was just briefly talked about this game on PS1, and in fact it has a Blur song as part of the introduction to it, which is Blur's Song 2, and I really love that song. So I thought, I wonder if it's that introduction with that song playing on the Saturn copy, and it is as well. So for £10, I got FIFA 98, just for the Blur Song 2, bit more than a bit else really. So yeah, bit of a Blur fan, so that's the reason I got that. I'll probably get this on PS1 as well, actually, if I can get it for under a tenner, which I should do quite easily. Probably could have got it for £1 or £2 actually, you know, years back. But nowadays, in football games, you pay for about £5 at least, won't you, these days? Unless you see them in a charity shop. Okay. I've got a few PC Engine Who card games. And one Famicom. Actually, it's a Super Famicom, so I should show this next. I think that is Super Famicom new in PC Engine. I think it is. Anyway, it's the game that has Godzilla in it on a Super Famicom. It is Battle Soccer Field No Hasha Football, so it's Battle Soccer Football. There's a second one as well, but I don't think that second one's got Godzilla in it. But I got this because it's just simply because it's got Godzilla in it. I saw it on someone's YouTube video, first going through Japanese games in one of the various hard-off shops. I saw and I went past this. And I thought, oh, didn't know that existed. I wonder how much I can get a copy of that. And I managed to get one all complete for about £20. So I've got it. It's so minty. This is. I got it in a nice box protector, so for £20 I got another Godzilla game. I might give it a go one day. But yeah. Okay, PC Engine Who cards. Okay, I've got a few. I've decided to try to get some of the better Who card games. There's some which I'll never get, like Magical Chase. Way too expensive. I've got it on the. Got tons of other ways of playing it. But that is too expensive. It's quite a good game though. I must admit, I know Eddie Rollercore's got a copy, and I can understand why he got it because it's not a terrible shooter. Some shooters on the PC Engine are expensive, and I don't think they're that fantastic. It's like is it Super Bonk, where you play as a superhero type Bonk? I don't like it that much, so I'm not paying the asking price for that game, so I'm not going to bother. I think it's about £120, £150 game, so I'm not going to bother with Super Bonk. But there are other games which are worth the money, and some of them are quite cheap. You can get these between. What do I pay for all these games? Anything between 15 and 80 quid for these games. I think I paid for on the most fun. So I just got quite a few. So I've got Fantasy Zone, Street Fighter 2. This is like the Who cards. It's expanded because it's I've obviously got a lot built-in RAM or whatever it is in it, and it needs it for us. But I need to. But really, to play a game, well, you need like a 6-button controller type thing. Space Harrier. Classic. Superstar Soldier and Final Soldier. There is a third one which is it's quite more money. It's about 120 quid, which I will get one day. Another classic, Sidearms. Right, the American version of this is called Blazing Lasers, but the Japanese version is called Gunhead. So yeah, got that. I've got some other PC Engines games from years ago, but these are all the ones I've bought in the past 2 months. R-Type 1. I think there's R-Type 2 as well, which I got as well. Paranoia or Psychosis. I think this Japanese version has got the little goblin or gremlin that swears at you, and I think you've got to play the game, go around the game twice to get to a good ending type thing. It's a really tough game. This game I got quite cheap, it's about 15 quid. Unfortunately it's a bit text based, so I don't think I'll be able to play it, but it's called Shiryu Sensen or War of the Dead. And I just thought the art of that, it's just so cool. It's like Resident Evil mixed with Walking Dead with some kind of RPG type elements type thing. It's unfortunately it's not, you know, like a one and gun shooter. It's more RPG based. It looks cool. For 15 quid I thought I'd add that to a collection. I got this on the Famicom, I think, or NES. No, it's Famicom, I think. Dragon Spirit shooter. Cassette Darius Plus. Some more really good games here. Space Invaders. Life Force or Salamander. Raiden. And last but not least, Trinkoba, Kyuku Tiger. So, yeah. I don't know about you guys, but just look at the art on these PC Engine games. You know, I just think it's awesome. You know, I mean, obviously a Darius art is fantastic, isn't it? We all love that. But so many of these games, these PC Engine games, we are on the box. It's just superb. Let's go back to the Final Soldier ones are cool, but gunhead artwork, sidearms. Even though you don't see any of the gameplay on the back of the boxes, there's no art there. They've really made up for that by having really appealing art on the front of the games. They really have. Complete opposite to Sega Master System, isn't it? Really, you know, they went for really cool artwork, and I guess it paid off. I think the PC Engine was very successful, wasn't it, in Japan, even though it wasn't massive elsewhere. Even in the States, I don't think it sold massively, because I think the NES dominated it too much. But that's it, guys. That's all my pickups for this month. Like I said, some of these pickups, like some of those games, with PC Engine games, I've been collecting for the past 2 months, and there are about another dozen I want to get as well on the Hue cards, which I will get as time and money permits. But I'm just going to do it gradually and slowly, really. It's like finishing off my Japanese Saturn games. I want to slowly upgrade some of my repos to original copies on that. Not all of them, but some of them I'm doing it. So it's about another dozen Saturn games I want to get as well. But there's no rush. There's no rush. Okay, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Been a beautiful bank holiday weekend here in England, and I hope you all have been enjoying it, and you know, taking care of yourselves. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.